o'clock, and we will start the May meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Village of North Bennington. First order of business, there is no public here. Amending anything on the agenda. One thing to note, this meeting will be continued. Lori, please remind me how we properly do that. We will continue this meeting to either Thursday morning or Friday morning, depending on the availability of a quorum of trustees to meet with Norm on a personnel matter. And we can do it in person if enough people can do it, or we can set up a Zoom as well. It is not something that Lori or Doug must attend, but you are always welcome to do so. So just at the appropriate time, tell me how we go, just make sure I get it right with continuing the meeting. So then we will move to reviewing the minutes. We have two sets of minutes. We have the regular meeting on Tuesday, April 9th, and then there was a continuance of that on the 23rd. Everyone has the draft agendas. Any comments or questions?
No.
Ray said none. Matthew?
No,
Matthew's not there yet. Okay.
I wasn't here for the 23rd, but I will make a motion to accept the minutes of April 9th.
Well, it's all one thing. We have to accept them completely because it's a continuation.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
You can still make that motion.
I can?
Yes.
Okay.
You actually can vote
Yeah,
even.
because you were there on the night.
Yes. And
Okay.
you can vote for them both because you read these minutes.
All right. So my motion stands.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ray. Since there were no previous questions, I'll assume there are none now. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is unanimous with Matthew not voting. Okay. Then we will move to the warrant and payment of bills. Doug, take it in whatever order you wish.
I have payroll on the top. So payroll through the month of April, everything was normal, one Aflac, 2 pay periods, no extra fees through pay data. So the total is $12,113.67.
I'll make a motion that we approve the payroll warrant for May.
I'll second. Seconded by Tara. Any questions for you, Ray?
No.
None for me. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Again, Matthew not voting. Here, we'll pass that around for signature.
Gotcha, okay. Next up, I have the late April warrant. We did a late April warrant in the amount of $17,946.56. Most of the items on here have already been discussed at various points. The turning point check was sent out. I will clarify, this MS&K bill is for the Hall Street project. We do have a couple of things going on with them. So just for point of clarification, that is a Hall Street. Other than that, it's normal monthly bills.
Okay. And that turf tank, that's for the tractor.
That is on, we'll discuss that that's on the actual May warrant. I'm doing the late April first.
That's
But
this.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong.
That's okay.
You're welcome to look at this
No,
one.
I have all this keyed up
Okay.
here. No, maybe I don't have it. I don't know.
Barring other discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the late
Okay.
April warrant.
Second?
Seconded. Let's give Ray a minute to see if
Yeah,
he has
let me
any
see it,
questions.
'cause I'm fine. Okay, I'm fine. All right. Second, is there a second? I have a second.
Yes, there was a second that was made, motion by Tara, seconded by Scott.
Okay.
If no questions from you, oh, you get to sign it. All right, then all in favor?
Aye.
Again, with Matthew not voting.
Okay, now we are on to the May warrant. Now, there is a slight change. I do have a different copy here. We had 2 late edition checks that I cut last night and added to the warrant. So I will cover those. Everybody knows what they are, so I'll bring them on here. So our grand total is now $34,458.95. A few of the larger items on there, we had a salt delivery, $2,849.18. Turf Tech, yes, that is a tractor. You're gonna probably talk about tractor in your report. Yep. So Norm will discuss that briefly in his. North Bennington Graded School is delinquent tax collection. Parent Rec, that is an ARPA request. That was for their container, which was a change that they had requested 2 months ago.
Is
So-
that the end of their ARPA?
I will have to look. It's very close, if not
Okay.
all the way. I think there is
Okay.
a little bit there.
Okay,
But it's not it is, they've used the majority of our
Okay.
allocation. The 2 checks that were added, one was for $75 to the Bennington County Regional Commission, which is for their annual dinner that Mary will be attending, and then Global Industrial, which is $2,319.89, which is for the tables for McWater's Park.
yes. And there was a generous resident who provided almost half of that as a donation to the village to cover that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And we've already actually received that check.
Are those picnic tables? Is that the idea?
Yeah, they're here, they're in my garage.
Oh, nice.
They gotta put this put together right now.
They're a little smaller than the other tables that were there, but Norm was very convincing why this is a good table. A, it's made to be outdoors and used outdoors in parks and rec settings. B, it's not so big that people camp on or under it, which had been the case before. And C, very importantly, is when they're mowing, one of them can move it. It doesn't take 2.
Yes, a regular size is
Yes.
a lot to handle for
Yes.
one person.
Yes, and then the old dilapidated tables will be removed for safety.
Great.
Just one question. Are these steel or aluminum?
Steel,
Steel,
they're coated,
powder coated?
like a plastic, kind of
A
thing.
vinyl type thing?
They're made for outside.
Or
fires.
outside, yeah.
I mean, not that somebody sits down with a pocket knife and cuts into it and then water gets in and rusts it, you know.
Right.
But they're as, and I'm not issuing a challenge to the local community. They're
You said it
as
out loud.
vandalism resistant as possible.
Now, do they need to be secured or will they?
Yeah, there's an anchor, it's almost like, they use for the power poles,
Uh-huh.
that will dig and put it in there and throw a chain and a cable on it.
Yeah.
Sweet, that sounds great. Okay,
Okay, so that warrant, the adjusted amount is $34,458.95.
so moved.
Whoop, second.
Questions?
Now we've had our question.
Okay.
I think
Matthew is still
Well, no,
not,
'cause this
oh,
is
that's
the
on the,
third.
yeah, you can do it first. Matthew is still
Matthew is
not.
not at the meeting. Matthew is not at this meeting tonight.
Okay, I see him there, so I keep thinking he might be dialing in. Okay,
I'll let you know if he joins.
thank you.
I'm just gonna remove, just so his name's
Okay.
popping up there.
All right, then, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous here with Matthew not voting. All right, was that it, Doug?
For warrants,
For
yes.
warrants, okay. Then, Norm, you're on.
All right, so
2
we'll start with
10
the,
minutes ahead of time.
with the turf tank. We sold some more surplus equipment, and again, with that, our plan always was, we were going to get a rough terrain, walk behind mower to be able to mow behind a ball field where we had a tree fall down and smash that. And be able to maintain where we put in the new culvert. It has an edger attachment on it, if you've looked in the park by the fountain, we used it there. It really looks nice, makes it pop, we used it in the village, we haven't got here yet, because we still have some other projects to do. So that's that, we're waiting on a bucket, and it's called a skeleton bucket, and what that will be is to use when you dig out roadside ditches, they have to be stone lined. You can dig it out, put it over the truck, shake it, and then put the stone back in the ditch, so you don't have to keep buying the stone. It went up considerably. We've got a couple ditches on Park Street and all up Royal Street that are like that, so there's a lot of other areas we could use it. And, then the last thing that we'll be spending money on, that'll be a big purchase before the end of the year, is a stump grinder tap. For all the little stumps that are laying all over the place. We got a vendor that went to multiple shows, and I picked one that's pretty decent, and the guy's gonna come here and demo it for the whole municipal community, but, and then that 30 grand will be gone.
How big a diameter is that?
It can do as big a tree as you want, it's got a 28 or 30 inch wheel, but you just keep moving back and forth.
Gotcha.
Right? You know, you go, and, you know, it's a good size, it'll probably fit on our whacker. You know, we could certainly buy bigger, meaner, you know, after the first year, you know, we're probably only do 5 or 6 a year, you know, so. But a lot of, on the side of the road where we can't just rip a stump out, and when you're mowing it, it destroys the heads of the machines. As you can see, you know, we finally have enough equipment that we can clean the roadsides, and I know they look a little yucky right now, but believe me, they're gonna green right back up, and it'll be fine. But we can maintain those, it'll be so much better, you know? So that'll be about it, and again, this is all out of surplus equipment, it costs us nothing, it's just stuff like spot, so.
This thing goes on, the grinder goes on which piece of equipment?
Whacker,
The whacker. Okay,
yeah, it'd be able to go on both, but it'd be
Okay.
locked for the whacker,
okay. And then the other one would go on the
on
backhoe,
the excavator.
excavator, okay.
And then the mower's self-contained, that just walks around and. It's around the back of the baseball field, it's terrible, you can't get back there. This winter we cleaned it all out, we cut all the hedgerow on the side of the ball field that was hanging over. And this would now be able to maintain it.
Probably not a conversation for today, but I haven't seen any obvious grants come up, like for the electric vehicle replacements or something. Is there been any improvement in the electric mowers for the size that you wouldn't need?
No, there's been no improvements in them, I mean, they're still what they are, as a matter of fact, the one dealer where we went and looked is gone.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's 2 or 3 people in town that we know, plus the town of Bennington that had one, and they were.
So looking ahead, probably not gonna
It's
change.
not,
too.
so, they're so far out, I mean, we're gonna end up looking at a mower eventually, you know what I mean? Probably next year, we're gonna replace one of our Toros.
Mhm.
You know, because we do mow a fair amount of grass, and they're double to throw the electrical, and then you lose the bagger and stuff, it's,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay,
they're just not ready for us.
okay,
So we're on equipment, our truck is at the dealer, it's not at the dealer, it's at the builder. Probably we'll see that maybe by the middle of next month, maybe even sooner. It's not a hard truck to build, all the parts are there, so that's going. Move on to our road projects, we have George Street, we got the 2 culverts replaced. We have, removed a couple of the trees on the side of the road, got to do a couple more, we're working on our turnaround. We are preemptively going with our turnaround because we're really good relationship with the landowner. MSK has been there, they're going to, send me a quote, for a small survey with our lawyer.
yes,
And, you know, and it really, do we need it now? No, but we might need it 2 owners from now. So I
Yes.
think we need to just get it done,
agreed,
and then we have it, and then it's good forever, so.
okay.
So we're moving forward on that. The
Let
pipe on,
Pardon, let me just ask Lori. Lori, it's not a huge expense there for that very limited survey. We don't need a special motion to approve that. That's well within norms.
No, not at all.
$5,000 limit, do
Nope,
we?
that's fine.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to verify.
so, we'll have that. You know, we've cleared the side of the road on Frederick Street, you know, that won't be, that's nothing to do. Then so then next Wednesday, I actually leave for Michigan for the VFW National Home, so I'll be gone from Wednesday, Thursday, and I'll be back Monday. And then we start on Main Street by North Bennington Variety Store. So I gotta, we'll be working the next couple days. Kyle, tomorrow he's going to look at another dump grinder, with the town of Shasbury. So, Thursday, Friday, we'll be busy. We'll finish out that little thing and
Do you
then we'll
mean,
start-
Bank Street? You said Main Street.
Well, yeah, Bank Street.
Yeah.
From the Crawford House, across the street, and then up that sidewalk. And, how we get rolling with the contractor to put the sidewalk back, you know what I mean? That'll all be, once we get across Main Street, then that'll be an easy day.
How about the state drainage project?
That is.
Oh, that's what we're talking
Yes.
about. Okay, good.
That is it. And all the pieces are here.
Nice.
So we just have to go about, we've done our road sweeping. Again, we uncovered the fountain. We're working with the contractor the one day that he wanted to come to redo the plumbing. We got the check. It was like $9,000 or something. I wasn't here, so we gotta work on getting in the box and, he's hopefully gonna try to pull that off before I leave on Tuesday to get the water done. I don't know if we'll get it turned on yet.
So we don't yet know, remember, didn't you report that there might have been some leak somewhere and you
That's right,
weren't
we
sure?
don't know yet.
You don't know yet,
Plumber
okay,
Plumber gets there first and puts all the valves back, and then we can fire it up.
okay.
It won't be that long. It's, there's only one of me and there's a lot of other projects. So.
And that leak may have nothing to do with the accident, or it would have?
No, it would have.
Okay,
Yes, and that will be a supplementary plan, but he's supposed to be able to pressure test everything and
okay.
so hopefully we'll be, the box is built, that, remember the old box that went over with flowers in it, that's all been built, so that can get set right there. I do have from Bob Howe, the mold for the piece that was inside that some vandal broke. So, we're gonna get with Matt Perry or one of his people that do casting of that kind of stuff and remake one, and when we remake one, we're probably gonna make 3 or 4 of them.
Those concrete finials you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I have that, Joe Churchill went over and got it for me, because, unfortunately, Bob's not in the best of health in the world, so. Well, they're still able to know where everything was and stuff, they got it for me. Good person for a lot of years at this job, so.
That's for sure.
So we're slowly working on that. The other thing, obviously park maintenance, mowing has started. We're still looking for a little part-timer. I don't know whether it's probably not gonna come back this year. It's
Oh.
something. Yeah, I'm kind of depressed about that, but it is what it is. And, road mileage report came in, you gotta sign it, that's gotta get sent back.
That was all signed, I think.
Okay, it's gotta go back to someone.
That came from the state. We sent it out. They approved it and sent it back.
Okay,
I'll take another look, but I think that's the final one.
I think that, because that's how we get our money, right?
Yeah.
So we got that.
Norm, is it worth advertising for a part-timer? Is it worth us trying to run an ad?
You know what, last time I put something on Facebook, it's not worth it. The internet are very expensive. Digitally seems to be the way to go. It's really best word of mouth. Somebody that fits the bill, a college kid coming home or something, or, I thought, one person was retired state trooper, and just couldn't get the days worked out, and then his family dynamics changed, and, he's got to spend a little more time with his grandchildren, and he opted to do that, so I can't hold the guy for that.
Roughly how many hours would this part-timer be doing?
We usually 2 to 3 days, we like 3 days a week, you can pick your days, we can fluctuate around, if it's 2 days this week, 3 days next week, all depends on the skill level. Like Larry, we could do it, Larry, he didn't have a CDL, but he could drive a truck, and he was handy, and he worked hard, he was a good worker, so we can do more, and we can get more projects accomplished, If it's somebody who just can mow, and really, if they're self-starter, a lot of things depend on it. We went the route for the college kids, We are going to work with the unemployment, or excuse me, the employment, not unemployment, employment program with the youth that the state runs, and have a high school kid kind of shadow us for a little bit. But they're very limited. It's almost really hard to figure out
Is
what
that
they
the
can do
higher
in that.
ability program?
Yes, that higher ability program. So, again, I've always been a big proponent of that kind of stuff, mentorship of youth in my world. And, so we'll try it, see what happens. That's what I think we try for a year.
Right, because I was thinking to try to hook up with the CDC, but they're all gonna be under 18, so it's gonna be limited what they can
And
do.
that's okay. We've had the CDC kids there a couple times. One of them actually works for a contractor here in town. The other one owns a contracting business in Manchester, and I'll tell you, the best thing I ever did come work. I made it work, but, so anyways, we need somebody that's around a little more, what I mean?
He just walked in, pick him up.
He doesn't want to. So,
Part-time with the highway department.
so anyway, that's pretty much where we're at, obviously flags will go up pretty quick.
Mhm.
One of these days, and just for a shameless plug, on the 18th of May, there'll be a breakfast at 7 o'clock at the VFW, and then we go out and put flags in all the cemeteries in the community of Bennington, North Bennington. Rotaries, Legion, schools, horse club, it's a daunting.
Do you want
task.
volunteers to sign up ahead of time, so you know how many?
If you have a group, it would be great, to email Danny
Okay,
or call myself, and, so we have enough food to feed everybody for breakfast. We do like to, put out a nice breakfast and then send it out to different cemeteries and put them out. I mean, there's a lot.
What was the date again, Norm?
It's May 18th, and, we'll have a flyer out, I'll post it, and, post it here in our other
Yeah.
places, plus in Bennington. And, rain date is the 19th. Just the Park Lawn Cemetery is 2,000 flags, so. It's a lot.
okay, yeah.
So, anybody else got any
Yes, couple of things,
questions?
couple of things.
Yeah, that's all.
The dam at the fire station.
Yep.
Can you give us an update on that? It's just, I don't know, maybe it's my imagination, but it's looking pretty warm.
It's definitely warm. We got the quote from the contractor, and still waiting on the dam person after we spoke.
Yes,
I made another email, and just waiting on them to get back. I think they're on vacation. So,
the
I think
reason,
there's one for the state, so it's.
yeah, okay. Well, the reason I mention that, and later on when I get to, further down in the agenda, Kim Hall, co-chair of Planning Commission, has some comments for me to read. And one of them is, we learned at a FEMA training that if there was something that happened at that dam, and it was a size that FEMA was involved with, because it's deferred maintenance and we knew it was in not perfect condition, they wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah.
So hopefully the state knows that same thing and will.
Well, and again, it's not deferred maintenance, because we have a plan, we're waiting on low water.
Yeah.
And, the river guy's all set with it, and,
Oh,
the
okay,
river guy, Josh, is, so,
okay, so we're just
if
waiting
it's,
for,
if, we'll
Won't be
work on the
this
damn
week.
people, or we'll move forward, you know what I mean? 'Cause we're not really
Is this the wall that we discussed?
on the
that's-
firehouse side, where it's
On the firehouse.
undermined a little bit,
Yes,
and basically, they're just gonna cap it, just like felon tooth. They're just gonna bore a couple inches off
Okay.
foot, right around it, there's already a big footing there, you're gonna pin right into it, and pour right around.
okay,
And you encapsulate what's there.
clearly he needs dry days.
Well, we gotta, we gotta make them a barricade,
Okay,
and move the water. Yeah, it's better in August when the water level is usually low.
oh, that,
You know,
okay,
we've
so
had
it'll be that
record-
long,
Record rain, record winters, so.
okay. All right, so likely August, okay. And then you were also, Murray Brothers, do they tell you what they're gonna do here?
Yeah, he's working with the, I believe Miles Lumber's got their mechanical shop. When I say mechanical, I mean, Greg probably can speak a little bit more about this, but the tooling for the knives for all this stuff is not,
Okay,
it's not readily available. He's waiting on getting a lift from our painter. The painter already knows that he's got some work to do this year. And then they gotta go out, and they gotta get at least a sample that's halfway still with the shape, and, cast it and then get a knife. And then once we have that, I believe we're gonna own that.
oh,
You
okay,
now they may have it there, but it'll be ours
Yeah.
if we wanna use it.
They'll hold on to it.
I believe they will. I don't think we're gonna end up with it. But-
Some outfits will hold it for a certain period of time. Make sure they're going to hold it for a period.
Yeah, if not, I want it, and then we can bring it back when we need, but when we get molding made, we're not gonna do a run of, a couple. I mean, we have a big basement downstairs, it's empty, we're gonna get some molding to do all that
okay.
and figure this out, but we're on it, it'll be a slow process, it'll probably just be a couple windows this year, and we'll have to keep moving around.
Yep.
And then probably the last thing that we didn't talk about is, Harlem
Yes.
Road. Again, if you go down through, you can see, there's a bunch of water, that street has always been bad. There's a couple pipes underneath Harlem and College at the intersection, there's actually 2 drain pipes. And, they're doing the sizing, the engineering now to figure out, and that will probably be, I would say it wouldn't be as big as the Overley Road project, but I better be close. By the time you go there, you listen to the water run, it's a pretty good brook that runs up the College side too.
The paving that you just did, is that all gonna be dug up then?
On that intersection.
Just that, okay.
But it's, College Road needs to be paved out.
Okay.
It won't be a big deal. But we're 3 years out, 2 at the very most likely 3 years out.
Okay.
Same as the other one, it's just, just a big planning thing, and then apply for the grant. It should be over 4 feet, so it'll be roads and bridges. And if I had our way about it, we'd go right about it the exact same way, get the same
Yeah.
contractor, and we'll do it the same way we just did.
I have one question. At the DRB meeting that we had recently, and you can help me remember this, there were 2 things that were brought up. Parking behind the buildings on Main Street, so the hair place is gonna be converted into a pediatrician's office.
It is?
It is, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, so she's gonna have private clients, no more than 1 or 2 at a time, obviously coming and going. So we were talking about parking behind, because she's gonna have a accessible ramp, or has one. And do you remember what was discussed about changing the parking back there, or marking off the parking?
There's some striping back there now, right directly behind the back.
There's 4 spots against the firehouse that are 1 handicapped and 3 others. They're mostly all taken up by tenants in their buildings. And then obviously you have the back of the firehouse, and there's a couple spots that are marked off for emergencies. So when we do have a call or fire, they have a spot to park. So I mean, there's ample free parking back there. It's just, they might have to walk. As far as if you're asking, should we allow a spot right next to her back door? I don't really think so, because then nobody can get in and out of the street. I mean, it's bad enough we got have our other fellow at the top of the street with all his collectibles outside.
Right.
That leaves trailers halfway in the middle of the road and everything else.
And then the question of dead cars in that municipal lot behind the fire department, are there like unregistered cars
Well,
still back there?
we've been pretty good about
Yeah.
keeping them out of
you
it.
moved some out a year or more ago.
Okay.
I haven't seen any.
They were mentioned, and I wrote a note just to mention it here to see what
Yeah,
it,
we used to have quite a problem, but,
they're going. Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
I mean, take a look.
Yeah.
But nothing like there was. I mean, there was cars that didn't run and all kinds of stuff.
But there is, in all of our lots, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, 72 hours?
72 hours.
72 hours. So if a vehicle is left unattended for 72 hours, a notification can be made to you or,
Usually what happens is that we notify the police department, we do our best to track down the member and correct them for the error of their ways. We see, the reason behind it, I need another day, okay, sure, you know what I mean? And then it's the 2-3 monthers that are really big problem.
Okay, that's all I had on my little list.
And the tree, and in that you'll see a bill from Greater Heights, or if you did, because they don't come in. But we've had a couple trees on Water Street that got removed that were danger trees, and then the one that was hanging over the other properties that came off of our property that had to be picked up with a crane. That's been removed. So I think our tree money for this year is gone.
But hey, we have tree money now.
I have one other thing, but does anybody else have a question for Ray, for Norm first? I was looking at you to see if you had a question.
I'd like to look and see what you're replacing on the outside. It's outside, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was all pictures in that bid, and it was last fall.
Mhm.
And it's all the window mold, you walk out right here, we lost a big piece this winter, but half the side of the window's gone. Problem is when they put the roofs over the dormer, we've done the main roof, we've done the lower roof, it's those little dormer roofs, and they never put a drip edge on it. So the water came down, and went right into the wood and then came down, and that's all rotten. And it's all rotten around here.
So is it all molding? It's going through a molder? Is that what you need?
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah. I mean, Denny's, I don't wanna say, Denny's our guy, Denny's my guy, right? We don't let a whole lot of people work in here, we've Preston Niles for a long time, he's just busy, we never get him, we got a customer, we got a contractor that we trust, he doesn't rip us off, he does a nice job, and he brings everybody to the table that needs to get a project done. So that's one of the reasons that we use it. So when he gets up there, and again, I can find the emails, it's not hard, and resend it to you. He took pictures of one of them, and as you know, as a carpenter, once we start tearing it apart, I don't know where we're gonna stop until we're done, but we're gonna pick one, and, hopefully we can do a corner. Our goal would be to do the whole front of this building. Right, all these dormers this year, and all the dormers next year. I don't know if we're gonna get past these two. I don't, you know what I mean? It's timing, it's lift, it's rain. But the first thing we do is have to get the molding, and then once we get it, we'll have it in a dry place. We made a bunch of pieces last year for the backside out of other pieces. But, I mean, the craftsmanship in this building is a lost art.
No, it's not. Ray can do
Yeah,
it.
he understands, right? I mean, it's not, you don't build that in a minute, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
there's.
So he's got proper equipment, size that'll do this project? or
Yes,
If he gets knives?
yes. No, well, he'll have that made, that'll probably be made out of Miles' mill shop. There'll be a mill shop's gonna make our stuff.
Yeah, but they have the knives, are they're set up to grind knives, or they buy knives?
I think however he does it,
He probably buys them from someone else.
Yes, I know we gotta get a sample.
Yeah.
They gotta make a pattern, one of the
Okay.
little things, and then, look around, but it's up there, it's not an easy building to work on.
Not at all.
Yeah, I just have used Rex Lumber because they have a shop that can make.
Well, certainly send in that
molding
number, you know what I mean, we're more than happy to investigate anything that works on speed
Right.
and time and funds.
I just have to
Absolutely.
know what kind of a thing, I have to know a pattern roughly to show him. But, if he's, he's got his sources. So. And he's certainly got connection to the lumber.
And it gets done well. Couple things just came to mind. One, and I don't know if we talked about it before, but I think we've got a little bit of extra ARPA money that we could move towards the speed signs, because we're not gonna do, oh no, I spoke too soon. We're gonna use some of that records retention money to purchase file cabinets, if need be, fireproof file
That
cabinets.
was what you admit.
Right, but I guess the point is that if the trustees would like, Norm could get 2 permanently mounted flashing speed signs instead of 1.
Water Street.
Well, that would be like, and you see them more and more in different communities, like going into Shasberry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's wherever you decide to pick them, I mean, we gotta look around, make sure they get sun, because we're usually solar powered, right? You know, like, and where where they do the most good.
Because we had talked about 1 when we get the West Street, Water Street intersection, 1 would go there, but if
Maybe coming
the
in next
group
to the
would
variety store
decide, we could
on
purchase another
67.
one. We don't have to decide that today,
Yeah.
let's just give it some thought.
Right.
Yeah, the hard part there's a lot of tree stuff in there, you know what I mean? They don't get a lot of sun. You know, you gotta have it somewhere where you have, it's gotta be able to feed, unless you buy one that's powered into the grid, and which they're more money.
Yeah.
But they don't, you know, you have a rainy day, they still work, you know, so there's, you know,
So
that's
just-
not.
Yeah.
I guess it's. food
Have
for
you,
thought.
selected a model and brand that you're going to
Yeah,
get?
I've emailed that before.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I sent that out to everybody.
So no red, blue, that you didn't find that, or that's not allowed in Vermont?
No, well, I mean, towns have, they're not allowed MUTCD is because, you know, you're stroking out, you know what I mean? You can't, it's just, it's supposed to say stop, and we can get them that say yellow, to say slow, or, you know, something like that. But when they start flashing, and they make them, they be a disco cat, you know,
Epileptic.
but yeah, they're,
Strobe light,
that's right.
Yeah.
You just open yourself to another piece of liability.
right, okay, all right, well, I'm glad you looked into it, thank you.
So anyway, we can talk about that at the next meeting, or just talk to Norm and let him know your thought and preference. The last thing I had, because Mark is still here, and before you go, just to update, most of you all know, but public can know too, is that there are trees, hybrid chestnut trees available in bundles of 20. They need to be babied for a year. A number of organizations in the area are aware of them. The group that put them together and offered $2,000 for our area, their idea was to promote economic development through community orchards. But not a lot of people are able to do that, number one. Number two is these trees have some root damage, and they need to be babied for the better part of the next year, in a specially designed but easily built raised bed.
Mhm.
So Jeff Gray was going to be here from the tree committee to talk about this. He has been talking to the Fund for North Bennington and some other people. Lake Perrin was interested, and Norm just had a good idea about that. But Michael Fernandez of the Bennington County Conservation Group is willing to build the raised beds for us. We just need to find a location, and that location has to have some access to water. The next few days, we don't, you know, if every day we're like that, we wouldn't have to worry about it. But through the summer, we need to do that. So we could, I don't know if there's any place up on the ball field that has access to water.
We have water access now at Brown Field.
Yeah,
So that could be, it could be put in, if you're talking about a raised bed,
yes.
like behind where the backstop is, so it wouldn't even be on the field.
And it would only be for a year.
Thing, right, for a year, and then you're gonna take the raised bed out and everything, so if you're looking for a place to do it, that would be a great place.
That was
to water.
one. And then Norm thought maybe up by we could ask the Lake Perrin group, because they're interested in getting stuff. So,
You know, how close you'd have to put it for water. The well and field, be all right, and we gotta get in there and clean it up from a lot of construction projects. But, yes, over there, the outside second's there.
Well, let's do it whatever is easiest for you.
And you might not wanna make a plan to clean it up yet, because you might be making more of a mess if we get the field projects.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
so maybe we'll
that's-
look at
We'll
Lake
figure that
Parent
out.
first.
I would,
Maybe we'll look at Lake Parent first. Anyway, the upshot is, I would need a motion for the trustees to spend up to $200 to construct the raised beds. We're gonna try to use reclaimed and old material as much as possible, and then Michael will build them.
Yes. So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Yes, but it's different, so I figured.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Anybody interested in asking about trees? More to come. Who knows how many we'll save, but we're gonna try 40.
Is this, they're pretty certain these hybrids are going to work?
There are chestnut groups, who knew, I didn't, that have been studying this for decades.
Yes.
And these trees are hybrids, which are 30% American chestnuts and the rest percentage between European and Chinese or Asian. I can't say that they're all Chinese. And there is a variety that is being developed to bear nuts, hence the orchard. And then there's another variety that's developed for timber, eventually to grow taller and straighter. And then there's another variety that's experimental. So I just reserved a group of the nut
Frankenstein,
trees and of the timber trees.
right?
No experimentals.
No.
The darker wood here is chestnut
Oh.
in this building.
have you talked to
Fund.
the club from down by the Henry?
Yes, the permaculture group is aware of it, the fund is, the lake is, virtually everybody I could think of that does, our own tree committee, of course. So, all right, so more to come on baby trees. Thank you. Anything else for Norm? If not, we'll move on to Mark.
Thank you.
Not really, but just if, part of the conversation is trying to get the idea is to get this out to bid. So just thinking about, you have a good pulse of who's out there that we want to reach out to as opposed to just open meeting. For the long field project. Yeah, so you don't have to stay for this because right now it's just, so, it's just put on the radar, that's what we're going to talk about.
Well, I mean, yes, we definitely have, once you get that bid packet, we have several people that do that we will get contracted with. And we also get it to Jim Henderson in his office, and then they put it out, so we have that definitely the public, the fair bid, that we can say it wasn't out there and it's advertised and anybody wants to fill it. But,
Have a good trip.
Yes, indeed, well deserved. Okay, we'll get back to you on the continuance of the meeting.
okay.
All right, Mark, Welling Field, tell us.
Well, so, you guys already have the final package.
Yes.
From engineering. So right now, now's the time to kind of start the bidding process of getting it out to bid. So I just want to put it on Norm's radar too. I don't remember that process, to be honest with you. But they sent you an email, right? You got all the.
It's been so long since I've looked at it, my
Well, we
brain
can
does
check
not
out some
retain
of
it.
that we sent,
Yeah,
'cause they-
But are they I can't remember, are they gonna help us with the contract
Currently, everything else is
documents,
part of it.
but
So-
not the contract documents? I mean, not the putting together a bid package?
Like you said, it's been a while, so
Yeah,
I assume they put together all the scope of work, is that what you're talking about?
yes,
Yeah, that was sent to us.
yes, but
You
is
should
that
have-
considered a bid package? Do you then just
So
hand that out?
yeah, I mean, basically, any contract just uses scope of work.
Okay.
And they're gonna put a bid out based on sort of.
Then we really should,
Including like the, what you need for, erosion control, all that was part of their.
Right.
Yeah.
So it should be all set to send out to
Okay.
prospective bidders.
okay.
We can also touch base with them again, just to see.
Okay, was MSK finding some suggesting prospective bidders, or was that
That
on
was not
us?
part of the.
So we can get together with Norm.
Yes, let me
and
just say,
anybody
typically
else
we reach
here.
out to people that bid on it.
Okay,
And
okay.
then it does go through, is Jim Henderson now, who kind of sends that stuff out?
Well,
Yeah. Oh, I'm not, you
But-
mean at BCIC?
Yes,
um,
so I think.
it might
BCRC.
be, I
Yeah.
don't know, I know they've changed their who does
Through
what.
them,
Okay.
they also put it out there, which makes it an open bidding process, so we can't just solicit. We
Okay.
certainly let people know.
Right.
It's open to their bid,
Who you
but then
for?
we also put it out, it's gotta be open to anybody who bid it.
I see, okay,
So we're in that process, so we just gotta, maybe reach back out to, and this is kind of on, now it's in kind of your lap now, because I can't make decisions on this. It's basically just, I'm happy to be a part of the process.
but you can come and tell us what we should do.
Yes, no,
Good.
I'd be happy to say,
Okay.
we can reach back out to, again, our engineering, and we say, okay, we're ready to put this out to bid. Can we, just have a quick little sit down to,
I have the proposal.
No, I'm glad you couldn't find it that easily.
Okay.
is that the one?
Yeah, it was from
Okay.
January 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it was a.
So, yeah.
quite a while. Okay, so we can do that,
Yeah, getting that put together so we can put it out to those. that
all right,
To put it in.
all right,
So
so maybe,
ideally, we're looking at the end of the summer to do it.
so that should probably go out in the next 30 to 45 days,
Yes.
okay.
Remind me though, when does the project have to start for that funding?
We're within it.
It's
It's
we have,
technically already started,
yeah,
as far as the reporting's concerned.
we have until the end of
But it has to be shoveled. I
2026.
thought we had to have,
We're all good with it,
Okay,
with the
good.
funding, I think we just have to spend it, if
26.
end of 26.
okay, so we're.
Because they changed a lot of the requirements as long as it's approved. So as long as it's approved and you're, what was the word? Moving towards
Yes.
completion or
Yes.
something.
And we
So-
elected the
So putting
long
out bid would
time.
be a good step, putting out bid would be a good step.
Okay,
Right, and we've got the backup with the engineering work and all that stuff,
Yeah.
so we're well within.
Sure, so I mean, again, we got that paperwork in January.
Yeah.
So their rough estimate of what that cost was, the longer we wait to get this done, that number means absolutely nothing.
okay, well,
So
we can
It would be a
do
good
that,
idea to get something locked
Okay.
in. And again, we're gonna be at their mercy on when they want to
Okay.
start. So my ideal would be the end of the summer, because it would,
okay,
we only have the wiffle ball league that really uses it. They're done mid-August, early August. If we get in there then, that'd be great. If it has to wait till the spring, it is what it is.
okay, all right, good.
Um,
So maybe we can I'll call Jim Henderson and just see whether he is the person that will
okay.
help with this or not. I know some jobs
I'm sure
got
there's somebody. yeah,
changed
somebody
around
knows.
there, so we'll find that out. And then maybe if we need a special meeting of all trustees, we can do that, or we wait until
We wouldn't need that until we get.
we're getting ready
Everything's
to
already
send
been
the
approved,
bids.
everything's been,
Yeah.
we've got the engineering,
Okay.
everything's there. I think the next official act you're gonna have to do is to pick
Okay,
a contractor.
so then it would just be,
So if you wanna reach out to engineering and just set something up, I'm pretty flexible.
we'll do.
So if you wanna say, do you mind just getting it together so we can kind of finalize, make sure
Okay.
we're on the same page, then we can.
I will do so.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And then, I know you wanted something in general, about
Oh,
parks, so.
yeah, how's that?
So Lions Park, they've been, the Lions Club, is interested in doing some improvements there, obviously in conjunction.
Yeah.
With us having the money. A couple of things that are definitely needed, I know we need to get, the chips, the wood chips. From what I remember, they are ridiculously expensive. You can't order less than a full load. So the last time we got it, think we ended up splitting it with somebody because it was far more than we, and now it's just a filler, so I'll try to investigate who's out there that we might be able to split a little bit,
Okay,
because we certainly don't need, I can't remember the size of the load, but I remember it was just way more than we could ever use, unless there's other places around. Problem is, it's gotta be certified
Mm.
chips, so it's.
I
it's not
wonder
sponsored and
if,
all those things. It has to be playground
if
certified.
Perrin Recreations, they've got their play area up there. I wonder if they use some.
They might.
Okay.
Yeah, so we reach out to them. The other issue last year that came up, and I did have, just because, Minstrel Paving was the one that poured that, or that laid the, base for the skate park. That center piece of equipment was sunk a little bit, so there's a little lip as you come off it. It's a good, probably maybe quarter to a half inch lip. So right now, I mean, most of the wheel, everything that they ride can exit, but if it gets any worse, it's gonna be a little bit of a hazard, so. I reached out to them, he seemed to think it was a pretty daunting task to try to figure it out. So I got in touch with the, company that put the skate park in, American Ramp. He's supposed to be, I haven't heard from him in a while, but he's supposed to be putting together a bid package, just what we can do is, so that center piece of equipment is, say, this big, he can add the smallest center section he's got, just to push it out past where the sink is. So it'll get it out past where the
Okay.
issue is, and, you know, that'll at least take care of it in the short term unless it happens again. I know the Lions Club is willing to.
Okay. But it's safe for kids to use this summer.
Yes,
Okay.
so it's not at the point where we have to close it down,
Okay,
but we certainly want to deal with it before it gets to that point, because you usually don't know about that until somebody goes out.
indeed.
So, you know it's safe when somebody gets hurt, or not
Not
safe
safe,
when
not
somebody gets hurt.
safe for adults to be doing that.
Never.
And speaking of the North Shaft Lions, they're doing a pancake breakfast and they asked to put a sign sandwich board down by the fountain. I approved that. I assume that's okay. Because
Nonprofits.
it's a nonprofit and they do work within the community. So,
And those are the that's kind of it until we get,
Okay.
you know, we've got so much wrapped into this well and field that it's kind of silly to plan too much.
Yep.
Because we still don't know,
okay,
we know how much ARPA funding we have, but we don't know how much over that bid is gonna come in.
we shall see.
Yeah, we will.
Okay,
I
Thank
think we're good in terms of what they laid out for prospective cost.
all
But
right.
who knows what they're doing.
Then I will follow up with you, probably not this week, but in next week.
Whatever, I'm pretty flexible, so I'm
Okay,
getting down right at the end.
okay.
All right, great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Good to see you, Mark.
See you later, Mark.
We're actually 5 minutes ahead of time. Steve?
Oh, I can't do it till 7:55.
Oh, you can start now.
The new water commissioner is David
Post.
Post. He lives on Main Street. He purchased the old Masonic Temple and redid that. Did a very nice job. I met with him, I don't know, end of last month. And discussed the position. He's never served on a board like that before, but as I said to him, you start somewhere. So you might as well start right in the middle. So he's willing to give it a try.
So,
Been
okay,
to a meeting, he understands, he was able to give, some input. You know, he made it clear he's not gonna vote on anything that he doesn't know anything about, it's lingering over until he catches up, so I think he will be a good addition to the board.
Mhm. Any questions from trustees about David's nomination?
No?
Is this something that we say, you have our
We,
blessing?
yes.
Okay.
They propose and we appoint.
Got it.
You anoint him.
Yes, so I am happy to make a motion to appoint David Post to the Board of Water Commissioners. I think he's
I'll
a
second
nice
it.
young man.
He'll
I
be
know.
filling the vacancy served by, from David's resignation from the board. That's where he's
Okay.
being appointed to, that position was open.
But he's still being, we are appointing him
Yes, to finish out
to
his
the
term.
board. Okay. All right, right? I did, and you
So,
nominated?
No, he seconded.
You
Sorry,
seconded.
You nominated.
Who's he replacing?
He's replacing David Shaughnessy.
David's retired?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? There were, never heard one in the beginning, so, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's done. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
For Lori, I did say yes. Sorry.
Lori, in case you didn't hear Ray, that was a unanimous vote. He didn't know if he said it loud enough for you.
I heard him. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Doug.
Okay.
Okay, Ray. Good grief. Doug, you are up now.
I'm up. I do not have too much this evening, so I'll be able to keep you on track.
Okay,
So we had made the donation to Turning Point as part of the opioid settlement. So I got two very nice letters back from them. One thanking us very much for the unexpected donation. And then the second one was the follow-up, which the trustees had asked a couple of questions and she answered all of the questions very nicely. So they have a program that is called, I'm just looking for the exact name of it. So it is their one-to-one recovery coaching. And of that program, they have 23 clients who currently live in North Bennington,
wow.
which is approximately 1/4 of the active clients in that group. Now, that's not their entire, because they have many
Yes.
programs,
But that's one.
this specific program. So, and that is the program that they're going to use these funds for. So
Okay.
she said that
Great.
ties into the question of the North Bennington piece, and it fits within the recovery piece of
Yes.
what the settlement funds can be used for. So that was her feedback, and again, she was very thankful for, and she wrote a type letter, and she also put a little.
Okay, so Lori should have a copy of this because this type of correspondence is at least semi-permanent record, so.
Okay.
Now that we're thinking of our records retention.
Perfect,
make
I will
sure
get a
that Lori
copy
gets
to Lori for that.
to her. And then how much was there some discussion last time about taking the other X percent and donating it to
So,
them as well?
so yes, there was. So the 16, a little over 60, I don't have the numbers right in
Yeah.
front of me, but we had donated 1,661.05, which represented 75% of the total monies collected.
Okay.
So right now, if we were going to zero that out, there is a 25%.
Okay,
It was, I believe, just over $2,000
Okay.
was the total amount that the village received.
So it's about $500 more.
okay.
Give or take, yeah.
So maybe next time we can put that on the trustee agenda and take a look at that. I think I'd like Matthew's input on that because if I recall, he was
Yes.
kind of in.
He was the one that was asking,
Was
and he was.
asking about that. So let's make sure we can get, okay.
Delinquent taxes continue. I actually had a okay amount in April, which is unusual, and I had a couple more people contact me. So for the June meeting, I'll have a full report of where we're at, because moving forward, typically into the summer is when some of those properties may get turned over to the attorney for the next step within the collection process. Just as an update, I did see an article in the Banner, I think it was today online, that Shaftesbury directed their delinquent tech collector to potentially start tax sales. So I have to get with them to see if any of our properties cross over. And Bennington, there was one that they had sent out a letter to a North Bennington resident of significant past due, but that individual was able to make arrangements, so Bennington is not moving forward there. So right now, we don't have anybody that is imminent for tax sale. And I'm working on year-to-date budget, so I'll have those out to you to see for the last, where we're heading into the last month and a half of the fiscal year. And unless anybody has any direct questions, that's all I have for tonight.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I said not too much.
Any questions for Doug?
No.
All right, being as the DRB had no business to report, we can move to the planning
Just for
commission.
the pediatricians moving into town.
Well, that's actually kind of nice.
It's very nice.
That is
It's
really good
excellent.
news.
It should be great.
A pediatrician.
Yeah.
And that's going in where Heron now was?
Yeah.
Right,
And then
that's great.
your typical meeting is next week? No,
I don't think we have one this month, but let me confirm.
okay, maybe you don't have one this month.
We might have a skip month. Yeah, I think we're clear.
Okay,
Amazing.
no meeting this month, okay. Well, the planning commission does have a meeting. It is Wednesday, the 22nd, and it will be from 4 to 5:30 instead of the typical time from 7, because at least one member has another meeting or an engagement to do after that. So that will be that. Now, Kim has a few notes that for me to read. As he reported before, he had been doing quite a lot of research into grants for fire station, USDA grants for that. His update is
Mary,
thus.
Is this,
What's that?
is this the GS 0402 NIMS training?
No, I'll get to that in just a minute. This is
Okay.
just an update on, and Lori, I'll send you these notes so that you can put them in your minutes as you need. You might not need the whole thing, but I can at least send them to you. But the USDA loan and grant program, he reports is now out of reach. It is not 75 grant, 25% loan anymore. It is now 55% grant, 45% loan. And most of the money goes to earmarks, delaying even awarded projects by years. Project costs would need to include design fees, a project manager, and insurance. So he says then in regards, and this is all because the hazard mitigation plan and the village plan both note that the fire station, location of the fire station is a risk because it is in a floodplain. And the 2018 village plan recommended study be done to look at options for the firehouse. So since the planning commission is now turning towards looking at the village plan as well as the land use ordinance, the option is just simply leave it in there and kick the can down the road again, or which is what Kim has been doing, is looking at options. What could you do? And what is feasible? Not that any of them are recommended at this point, but just identifying what is feasible. So his options here say one option is to do nothing. FEMA would not pay for deferred maintenance. So if flooding results from a failure of the retaining wall, it is all on us. Another option is to contract for services from Shaftesbury or Bennington. Another option, and there may be more, is to build a response station. The engines and the gear would be stored there, and all other components of the station would be contracted for in either Shaftesbury, Bennington, etc. And those were the decontamination, the training management, etc. That process that Kim had said is required for decontamination and the whole process of responding or coming back from certain types of incidents. And then he said the building would be a replacement station on the cheap, and the department could retain its identity. It would be similar to Bennington's rural station. If needed, a second, or if desired, a second phase could add a replacement highway garage. The next update was the incident management training. Kim and I were invited to this. Had I known what it was, I honestly think that it was something that Norm and the water department could have attended to. It was a little wonky in a lot of ways, but it was also overwhelming in the number of the alphabet soup of acronyms for who knows how many different agencies and groups that get involved, if there truly were a FEMA type of incident.
Did
And
they
the
give
NIT
you a glossary?
Well, there are some flow charts, and anybody that wants to look at the book, here's
No, I
one.
don't.
But,
I just wonder if they
But it was a
helped
little, it was a
elucidate
little, it was a little daunting in
Okay.
that as a small village, and we were one of two small small municipalities that were at this training. I hope there's more because I think others should go. Clearly, our fire department personnel have probably already done this and more, but it's the first time that either Kim or I had heard of any of these things. So let me just tell you a little bit about what Kim says. This training described principles of incident management that should be employed so that all responders and associated agencies and outside entities know who's on first, what that language must be, and how to communicate between entities. It's a national standard. This training makes clear how decisions are made and who makes them. The need for a command center complete with all the necessary electronics for communications that is secure, stocked with food and water, and with an adjoining toilet was made abundantly clear. It became obvious that our village cannot support such a robust facility, and in a very brief discussion with the Select Board of Bennington, a combined command center made sense to explore. Integrating other incident management capabilities also seemed logical to include, but not limited to, a FEMA Red Cross sanctioned shelter or providing consistent public messaging about an incident using the Bennington communication specialist so that messages are the same within one community. Much more training is available depending on the village, volunteer, and employees' roles. So it was a bit overwhelming, but it was very good. And there is a lot of assistance from FEMA and from the state should we wish to develop annexes to our mitigation plans. I'll leave it at that.
Okay,
But anybody that wants to read this book, you're welcome to take it.
I think Matthew should be involved in this since he has strong feelings about the fire department.
I might just drop this book to Matthew so he could peruse it. It's a lot of, some of the things are repeated more than
You
once.
know, I'm just going to say, his eye issues make it
Oh,
difficult.
all right, I'll bear that in mind. The one of the overwhelming, or one of the repeated parts of this training was that when there is an incident, FEMA does require this process be followed. It is a blueprint, it's a process. It doesn't name a person, it names a position, a function,
Yeah.
yes. And we just don't have the ability. We probably have to tap on the shoulder every third person in the town, in the village, to fill it all up.
Yeah.
Because you have the leaders, and then they all have, depending on what row you're in, you either have a deputy or an assistant to be the next person. And that tree just gets pretty large. The issue is that if there is an incident, to be reimbursed, you need to follow these. And you have to have these processes in place. We did, a couple of us did ask the question, being smaller municipalities, are there best practices for small municipalities? And the trainer, who has been involved in national training for many, many years and involved in many significant disaster recoveries, said that the best thing for small communities is to have written agreements with bigger communities. And therefore you do that. And they need to be written agreements because if there was a disaster that was FEMA involvement, in order to be reimbursed for expenses, you must follow their protocols and their procedures. And it can't just be a handshake. When you need help, give us a call and we'll come over, because that might not be reimbursable for the municipality providing that service. So I think it's nothing that requires any action today or tomorrow, but it's just a lot of food for thought, and to think as we go through the rest of the village plan and start identifying some of these things, how we might, in the coming year or two, develop appropriate annexes for our emergency planning.
Well, so the acronym here, NIMS, is
National Incident Management System.
And what's the GS part of it?
It's
Oh, actually, it
one,
only says G there.
yes, it's a level, it's their levels of training, and there are I don't even want to say the names of it, because the numbers, but there are different
Okay.
numbers associated with different types of training. This is
Alright.
just the very basic, and it is for officials and executives, elected and appointed personnel. So I wouldn't mind if somebody wanted to take this and peruse it, please do. If not, it will just know that it is available should you ever wish to do so. And I think that's all. Oh, no. The most important part of this, and I've still got a couple minutes, is Scott has asked for a couple of months if he could present some of his thoughts and research on flooding. As Lori pointed out, we've had a lot of discussion, especially coming from the Planning Commission, about the hazards and the risks of flooding, specifically with that dam. So I think Lori's suggestion is wise, that after this, we can think about how to form a little group that wants to get together and identify all the stakeholders, because there's people above the lake and there's people below the lake that all need to be involved in this. I do know that there are FEMA and people that will come and help develop plans for this, and there are state people. So with that,
Okay.
please, and shall we move your,
Right.
Chris, why don't you come over here so you can see, and let's move that so that the owl can pick up what you're
Yeah, if
talking
you put
about.
it right there and then turn it this way.
Maybe too much? Oh, no.
Nope, because I'm looking at the
Okay.
top of
Is
this.
that any good?
Hold on
Yeah.
just a second, let me make this one bigger.
Here,
So-
Scott, talk for a second, because then the owl will pivot to you and we can see what you're looking at, so talk.
Yeah, take
Okay.
about 10 minutes if you could.
All right. Well, as you know, when I got on the board, I was very interested in seeing why there wasn't electrical generating going on in our village, which has a long history of using the creek for power.
Tara's gonna just adjust it so I can see it.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Yeah, Scott, you just keep talking.
Okay, all right. So I spent a lot of time, I walked up and down, I looked at all the dams. And then I read, I started by reading Bill Scully's report, which is the feasibility study on putting hydropower at the firehouse and at Perrin Dam. But then I read the emergency management report that talked about, I think that was from 2022 or 20.
Yes, that was the hazard mitigation plan.
Hazard mitigation. And I got very concerned about the age, and we don't really have a good sense of, what these, in other words, what I'm trying to say is, until we know whether all the dams are safe, it doesn't make sense to start installing power stations, you know? So, I got more interested, and what I wanted to find out was, how big our watershed is. So this is a map of the watershed for Lake Perrin. And Lake Perrin is this little tiny section right here.
And then the village is
Right,
outlined
I'm
in
sorry,
red.
yes. This is the village of North Bennington.
So the village would fit 6 or 7 times at least in that watershed.
Right, and this is Perrin Creek. It's a little hard from where you're sitting, but one of the documents I looked at was the emergency management plan for Vermont Railway, because they're responsible for operating the dam. And as part of that document, they show what would be inundated, high-risk dam inundation area. So the Lake Perrin Dam is actually a very, it's called a high-risk dam because of how much damage would occur downstream if it ever failed. So anyway, these 2 orange lines show where the flooding would occur, and it's basically the entire.
Could you just trace around those lines?
So
with
it
the-
goes
You'll
right
see
down
on
the
the next-
river and then across down.
It goes both sides of the center of the village, right? So that's Perrin Creek in the village. This is Perrin Dam, that's the Firehouse Dam, that's the Haviland's Privilege, that's National Hangar, and that's what I call the old BCIC dam, but it may not.
And then it splits and spills out into.
And then the confluence with the Walloomsac, this is the Walloomsac right here.
Yeah.
So that would be the confluence, and the water backs up all the way. I can't make out exactly where that is, but in other words, it goes upstream and then
And
it's
downstream.
quite wide here.
It probably slows down when it gets to the paper mill bridge, because there's a drop there.
Right. So I did some math, and because I was, everything is measured in acre feet, and it doesn't really mean much to a normal person, right? So an acre foot is 325,851 gallons. So our lake is anywhere between 35 and 40 acres. That's another problem we're running into, is the statistics. There doesn't seem to be a hard fact where you can just look it up. Like the Army Corps of Engineers report said it's 40 acres. This is 15.5 square miles. That's where I got that number from, the Army Corps of Engineer report. But when I was on the Lake Perrin board, everybody said it was 37 acres. And then Alyssa has heard 32 to 35. So we should know that number. But anyway, if we had, let's say we had 37, this is the math I did, 37 acres times 325 gallons, 1,000 gallons,
Yeah.
gives you 1 foot of depth would give you about 12 million gallons. So the Army Corps thinks the lake is 50 million gallons. So if the dam broke, 50 million gallons would rush through the village. But I think the bigger concern is one of these storms that drop a foot of rain, and it's happening outside of Houston right now. So the watershed, 15.5 square miles, There's 640 acres in 1 square mile. So this watershed is 9,920 acres.
I thought it was 625 square mile.
Oh, I thought it was 640. Well,
Whatever,
whatever. These are
Close
just,
enough
I'm
to
just
count
throwing
it
this
some,
way,
yeah.
15 acres doesn't make much.
So 9,200 acres, a foot of rain. And, you know, every rainstorm is different. Sometimes it's very dry and a lot of the water sinks in. Other times we're completely saturated or it's frozen in, say, March, and all the water runs off. So if we got a foot of rain, all the water ran off. That's 9,000, what did I say?
900,000?
9,920 acre feet, which works out to 3,232,000,000 gallons. I won't give you the rest of the numbers, although Doug would probably like to know.
I tend to round off.
So we've got a 40-acre holding pond with
3 billion
with-
gallons.
yeah, we've got a 50, let me back up. We've got a 50 million gallon holding pond with 3.2 billion gallons headed its way. So, that's the dilemma we're facing with this climate change.
But there are absorbent areas of the watershed where
Yes.
the water gets stored, right? So it's not really that much. I mean, it's huge.
Well, we could also have a 20-inch storm or a 24-inch storm. The point being,
What did you say, like a 10-inch storm? Is that what you were?
I use 1 foot
1
because
foot, okay,
the
right.
math is
Yeah.
really easy.
We have seen some results of flooding, Irene and Sandy in the past, and seen where some of the real target problems are, like Big Boys Toys, that whole area along that
Yes.
strip of the road.
Right,
It all comes that way towards the houses. I know that might not be us, but
right.
But
still,
still,
it's right
still a
there.
concern.
it's where all of our water ends
Yeah.
up. So we've kind of seen where like some problem points are with smaller events, even though those aren't really small.
Well, actually, I was very shocked when I read that hazard mitigation report that Irene was 4.65 inches,
So.
which
only 5
was,
inches.
which it came within about that far from reaching the top of the Prospect Street Bridge. In other words, flowing underneath, there was this much airspace left, you know, and that was only 4.65 inches. So,
That's
so a
that's
foot,
local figure, right?
a foot could be quite a foot of rain, and it's happening around the country and around the world. You know, we're seeing these. So my feeling is that even if the parent dam held, the stress of all this water, and just in case you're curious, of 20, what did I say? Where were we? 3 billion gallons weighs 13 million tons. So 13 million tons of water hitting our old infrastructure is kind of scary.
Mhm.
You know, the dam at Haviland's Privilege has a concrete stamp in it that tells you it was built in 1918. So that's over 100 years old. And have we seen big crews out there maintaining it all these years?
No.
And I don't know the ages of the other dams. So one of the things that I've been thinking about
Do you want help with that?
is, well, let me see what happens here. One of the things I've been thinking about, we could do a lot of fixing up in the village. But if there was some way to divert the water, because basically everything that flows into Lake Perrin has to come through the village. So we're kind of, this is a close-up of the village. And one of the things I looked at was ways of creating an emergency spillway that could take some of the water in the event of a major weather event where the state emergency management people are calling and saying, hey, you better batten down the hatches. There's a big storm coming, because we do get notices. We could, if there were a secondary emergency spillway, we could divert some of this excess water instead of having all of it go through the village. And I identified, these are the railroad tracks. This blue line is Route 67. If you follow the tracks out to here, which is about a 10-minute walk from Northwest Variety, there's a waterway, a small waterway, which the Glansbergs, remember where Glansberg's farm was? That water, that meadow drains, goes under the railroad over here, and then drains down to the balloon sack. And we had a presentation a few months ago about a new bridge that the state is putting in down on Route 67. So that would be roughly right around there, I think.
The new drainage culvert, is that what they're doing?
No, they're replacing a whole bridge, aren't they?
They're replacing the bridge
They're
and
doing a
the
train
wing
track,
walls.
yeah.
and they're adding wing walls.
Right. So, I talked about this with Kim and Mary the other day, and it's something that would, if this could happen, and we could divert some of the excess water, then the need to like move the firehouse or do emergency things in the village, we could spread it out, I think, in a much longer time frame. So I think, this is just my opinion, but anyway, this is something that could be pretty easy versus dealing with every nook and cranny of all of our residential facilities on the creek, the dams, and the bridges.
You're talking about to divert enough water to make any difference.
Yeah, I was thinking a 6-foot pipe, but I have no idea. I'm not an engineer.
Kim
don't
thought
think
it
so.
was an intriguing idea.
Yeah, I'm
and
not,
worthy of-
I just
worthy
wanted
of-
to
Exactly, worthy of
make this
something,
point that
because,
right now, everything has to go through the village.
yes,
You
Did you look
San
at-
Antonio,
Elevations for
yes,
that?
and there
It's-
wasn't much.
It's pretty flat, and then it drops off right here, and then goes down to the balloon sack, right at Harrington Road. No, that's not Harrington Road, that's the floodplain. Anyway, I'll have to,
well, Harrington Road is.
yes, this is Harrington.
67.
Yeah, right near the intersection of
Right.
Harrington and 67 is where the stream empties. So anyway, so I wanted to bring you all up to speed, and I think this is a very serious problem. And just looking at the weather reports almost every day, it's flash flooding, in different parts of the country. So it's happening, and I don't think we're very well prepared.
I'm not sure we can be well prepared.
Yeah, I'm looking at the high-risk inundation area that you have listed there,
Yes,
and it looks like even if all of it went through the middle of town, it would impact the entire Williamsack region.
Yeah,
So it would just be, it would cut it around the village, but it would be going into, I don't know what that area is.
well, this is the event of the Perrin Dam breaking.
Okay,
Not a, well, I mean, who knows what,
well,
I mean,
it
every
could hold up
event-
and it would just have water pouring over it.
yeah,
pardon me?
Could hold up and it just have water pouring over it.
Right, but it could also break and then have those 50 million gallons, or I had it down.
Well, I mean, if it's a foot of water going over it,
it's still a lot.
it's your acre foot of water, your acre's feet of water coming over it.
Right,
That would give you the same issue, not as bad as the dam breaking.
What is there to the left of the village there? So you have Harrington Road there, then that must be Park McCullough, or, mile around. line.
this is the state line.
Okay,
So one of the problems I had trying to understand all of this was we're always kind of just looking at North Bennington.
yeah. So what's over there near the Williamsack that, is there residential stuff
There
in
are,
that floodplain?
over
Would
here,
we be negatively impacting other people if we shunted water?
I
Well,
no idea.
It's, like
If
Ray
we-
said, it's a big,
if we have this
Mathematical
much
equation.
rain, it's affecting the Williamsack heavily.
everywhere.
That's right, yes.
So that's going to, well, Paper Mill Village is where it floods out.
Yeah.
And that's our firemen have learned deep, cold water rescue because of that particular spot.
Oh, for sure.
Because they rescued people when Irene hit. from-
Right, and
From that area.
this would not help that whatsoever.
Absolutely not.
Uh,
But
so-
it's just, but that is not going to help us because it's going to flood at my end of the village too. Although,
Well, that's-
Irene did not even come close to my house.
Right, but that whole McWaters Park was a
Oh,
river,
yeah, it was flooded.
and it was very close
And
to
that's
the,
reflected in that yellow border. down
So there will be, the state is going to organize a tabletop exercise at North Bennington's request, dealing with what happens with extreme flooding, whether it's what you're describing or whether it's a dam failure or a combination thereof. So
Yeah.
that's the time for all the stakeholders to get together and to start picking the brains of those who are expert in this, or FEMA
Yeah.
people who have dealt with this, and find out what you
Right.
can do, because we might not be able to prevent any flooding, but surely clever people can mitigate some.
right.
Yeah.
And the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed about, I don't know, a year or two ago, had a component of 50 billion for hazard mitigation.
Yes.
Grants. I don't know, I'm sure it isn't to villages, I'm sure it all goes to the state of Vermont, and then they look at it.
Yeah,
But
50
These are-
billion isn't a lot
No,
given the whole
But these
United States.
they're important questions, and clearly,
Yep.
Scott, you've done an awful lot of work in this.
Yeah.
And I know.
I feel
Kit
like
has-
I don't participate as much as I feel I should in all the meetings and
that's
the emailing
major,
and stuff, but I have been busy.
Yes,
You
no,
know,
that's
I
a
do
lot of,
other stuff.
that's
so.
a lot of work, and, and worthy of worthy of note and certainly worthy of people getting together and discussing, because it
Right.
could happen. So
I feel we ought to, as you suggested, form a group and maybe have a trustee type title, so that we, it's not just a group of neighbors sitting around, it's a subcommittee maybe. I don't know how that
there,
would work.
then I think it's not something that I would be comfortable voting on today because, but the idea of getting people, now, already the planning commission is looking at this.
Yes.
So definitely come to all the planning commission meetings and make your voice heard there. Once you start making formal committees, then those committees need the open meeting law and the conflict of interest and all the other legal stuff.
Oh, the committees do the.
Yes,
Okay.
so I would
I was
want
almost wondering if it should be a subcommittee of the planning.
that's a good
That's
idea.
Because then
Makes
you
sense.
kind of avoid that.
That's a good idea.
Clever.
So come to the planning commission
I'm gonna
meeting.
be away
You're gonna be
starting
away.
on Friday for
Well-
May, but I'll be back in June, so
Well, then
Well,
we'll do
damn
it
it, there's
in
gonna be a flood the next day,
I know, that's what I'm gonna do.
Thank you so much for all of that hard work.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes.
I enjoy it. And anybody that ever wants to go kayaking, or, not you, you're expired, your invitation expired. Or for just walks
But I am
around the
gonna, I
village
do want to
to look
take
at these
that, I
things.
do want to take that walk with you that you said that you were describing the other day. So
Okay,
when you get back and I'm back,
Where is that?
from the dam over
Oh,
to
the
where
railroad
he's
station.
saying where this
along the
would go.
track.
Yep.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
thank you. Can we move on to old business? All right, the old business, just wanted to report on plans to review the municipal building energy audits that we got back under the MERP grant, and you all have probably more email than you want to read from me on that kind of stuff. And Ray was incredibly helpful. Thank you so much in drafting the consultant letter that would like approval on today. And as Lori pointed out, we can make a motion to approve the letter previously submitted. An email is out to Bill Christian, who is an energy consultant, and he has agreed to consider being our consultant in this, and Ray and I would meet with him and set this up. So,
Are you looking for a motion?
yes, I am.
I will make that motion. This is a good thing.
Ray, you look puzzled.
Just wondering, never mind.
Push pins, I was putting the push pins
Right.
back.
Okay, so
Okay, I'll
motion
second
to, sign the.
Okay,
Great.
seconded was Ray. Do you have any questions?
No, I think this
Okay.
is an excellent choice. Has he agreed to go ahead?
Tentatively, yes.
Oh, good.
We just haven't sat down and formalized the arrangement.
Okay,
Since funds are gonna be paid, it should be a formal agreement.
And this is the next step in.
This is the next step
Getting
of
the
a,
grant going.
of the three-part process. The audits are done. They go in one ear and out the other to me. I don't know what I'm looking at, but an expert does. And that can be then discussed with everybody else, certainly the members of the fire department, Norm, even the water department perhaps. We look at different things. Trustees ultimately will vote on anything, but we need somebody like Bill to kind of organize it all and tell us
Yeah.
what data we need, what we need to be looking at, who we need to be talking to, and things like that, so. Thank you for
Yeah, no,
making,
we probably, it sounds like we need to figure out if we're gonna keep a firehouse
well,
where it is.
yeah, I'm tending to think yes.
Yeah, me too.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
There are other things that can be done. But it's always good to have lots of ideas, so you know, then you can explore and come up with what is the most efficient and expedient. Thank you for making that motion and seconding it. If there were no other questions, all in favor of that?
I,
Aye. Thank you, that was quick. Uh,
do we need to sign? Oh, you're gonna sign
No,
for
no, we'll get that done once we have a meeting on that. Under new business, the only thing I wanted to add, and this is not anything this is food for thought. Whether there are any training topics that trustees and/or all of our appointed committees should do. Would you like to have an expert from VLCT, for instance, come and give us a half an hour discussion on or an hour on all the services that VLCTC provides? And we don't know what we don't know, at least I don't.
Yeah.
Would you like somebody to come in and talk about capital budgeting? We have spreadsheets that Doug is now maintaining, mostly for the highway department, but that's a necessary component, but probably not the total thing.
I'd be interested in knowing what is available to VLCT.
Okay.
Because we don't, and we didn't know that we had a lawyer on call for the last thing.
Yes.
This goes back to Scott's presentation. There was some legislation at the state this year that would provide money for dams, I think. Or,
With the
emergency, yeah.
hazard mitigation.
Hazard mitigation.
Yes, and Kim has been studying.
He's been
lot of
looking
that.
at that.
Because that's been looking into a lot of that
Okay.
stuff. And he has done one, and I think he's gonna do some other
More power. to him.
discussions on what do you do for grants. Some
Yeah.
years ago, I did a couple of them, they were pretty good. I don't remember what I did 4 years ago or 3 years ago. But there are so what, I'm thinking of what other type of topics do people do you want to explore more about, well, I was thinking budgeting or conflict of interest or open meeting law. I know I just send that frequently asked questions document every year about open meeting law. It answers questions. I refer to it frequently because I can't remember it all. But would there be more that you would want to know about something like that? Don't need answers today, but give it some thought about types of things that maybe you would like to know, maybe things that would have been helpful so that we can start planning ahead for new members of this board. And maybe some type of just annual refresher training that would help not only us, but especially anybody that maybe is new and incoming and only has a year or two going on.
Well, this meeting has brought up a lot of questions, I think. And one of the questions that's been running around, because I hear this comment from Matthew, particularly about the fire department, is that maybe we need to not have a fire department. We need to merge or have it run by Shaftesbury or Bennington or something.
So are you suggesting that maybe we have some consulting people look at or help us do some long-term planning? I
don't know, I'm not clear about what I'm talking about here, because I have not thought it all through, but there's a lot of pieces to this village's existence.
Mhm.
And it's an expensive operation.
Mhm.
So maybe there are priorities that we need to figure out what our priorities are and what
Yes.
we can and can't do. and look forward to the future.
And maybe
I-
there's somebody at VLCT that specializes in helping municipalities.
Well, I
think
thought that's
through
what
these.
the Bennington County Regional Commission was about, but not really.
Not really.
Okay,
If we had a particular question, they can sometimes help us
Mhm.
find resources to
Right.
answer questions.
well, if these, VLCT, is that it? Yeah,
Vermont League of Cities and
right.
Towns.
Thank you. I remember that when I parse it out. I mean, if they have somebody who is is a stakeholder in how towns figure out what they need to do for their future, maybe that would be useful. I don't know, because we kind of, it's not, I'm not saying this negatively, but we kind of fly by the seat of our pants to some extent.
Mhm.
And, Scott's brought up a question that's really interesting.
Mhm.
And then there are other questions that are really interesting, like how do we continue to afford a fire department or keep that service at least? And given our pride of place, that we have the oldest fire department in the state. And then there are other things. I mean, we don't have control over the school here, but there's education that the school board is going to be looking at in terms of, because the House, I don't know if the Senate has approved this plan. The yield bill has a study commission in it to go on for several years about how education is done in the state. So, that aside, because that concerns us, but it's not our bailiwick here. We do have concerns about the continued thriving of the village and protecting it.
Mhm.
And we have people that have specialized in that for a number of years, like Rob Wilmington. Unfortunately, he's not here as much anymore, so he spends half his year in Arizona.
So is it fair to say that we can kind of give all of this some thought, and maybe in all the subcommittees or the committees that we have and the commissions, let's ask that question to others and see what, I can start with VLCT. To me,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
We don't know what we don't know.
Maybe
Maybe that we start with that.
we look to resource like University of Vermont. Maybe they have.
Exactly, and maybe they'll be able to tell us.
These VLCT may tell us.
Exactly.
Do the members of the planning commission and the DRB and other stuff like that, do they get the VLCT newsletters too? Or just us?
I know Kim does.
He does, okay. I was just curious,
Kim
because
puts a lot of work on his own.
there are a lot of like subjects
Yeah.
that could relate to various.
Yeah.
and stuff.
I think it's up to us to send to
Yeah.
people too.
And Kim is a good resource because he obviously is
Yeah.
doing his homework.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let me not belabor this anymore, but just give it some thought. I'd love to have Matthew weigh in on his ideas, but I'll start with VLCT, just see what they kind of offer. It may be something, not that we all want more meetings, but it may be something that we do outside of a trustee meeting, but it may be well worth it because we learn something and then we can pass on a better board to the people who come.
If we all meet at the same time to get a training, that doesn't?
We would warn the meeting, you could warn a
You can do
meeting, but
that.
yeah,
I wasn't sure if that was
Yeah.
required. because
Yeah,
we're together.
we're all
You don't
together.
have to go through all of them.
Yeah. But anyway, all right, well, I
Because
will
you're
do
not
that.
conducting business.
Right.
Do we have an executive tonight?
I don't. Do you? No.
No,
No, but we are going to, Lori, please remind me, because I know I'll get it wrong. What do we do? Oh, we need to poll to see who would be available to continue the meeting to either Thursday morning or Friday morning.
What time?
It would be early, 7 or 7:30 in the morning.
You can't do Friday.
Thursday,
I could do Thursday.
and what are we doing?
we need
Sorry.
to, Norm has asked to meet with
Oh,
the
that's right.
trustees.
Okay.
And we would do that here or?
I would like to do it in person, but I can
I
set
know,
up.
but
a Zoom
would
with
it be
me.
up at the garage or
No,
be
it
here?
would be here.
Oh,
I
okay.
think Thursday would be fine.
Thursday is fine.
And that's in the morning.
It would be in the morning.
And did we decide on a time?
Is 7:30?
7:30.
Norm can even be earlier than that if
I'm
you
sure it
prefer.
can, but I
There's a motion, there's things to be decided.
It's just listening to Norm. He has some things he'd like to tell us. But yes, I do, we have to make a motion, and Lori can tell us exactly how it's worded, that we need to continue the meeting to a date and time certain. So that would be Thursday, what is that, the 9th?
Yeah.
yes.
Thursday, the 9th at 7:30 a.m. here at the depot, in person, no Zoom.
Okay.
Okay. Because that's why we can have everyone, because it's a
Yes.
continuation. Okay.
And hopefully Matthew can make that. If Matthew
Um,
needs a Zoom, I'll set up a Zoom for Matthew.
I think he's gonna need a Zoom.
You can FaceTime him.
But we can have him on the phone.
I could FaceTime.
Lori, is
I
that
think
what
he's-
we need?
He's gonna be on his way to work.
You got it?
To May 9th at 7:30 a.m. at the Village Depot offices.
Yes.
Second that and vote.
Okay, so I will make that motion,
I'll second.
and Tara seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
And then we do not need a motion to close this meeting because we are not closing this meeting.
And I'm just calling Matt now to tell him, and I'll let you know.
Thank you. Okay, let me know if that won't work for him, but thank you.
We're making a motion to continue.
Yes.
That's
We
all
made the
did.
motion
Yes,
to
okay.
continue. And we said, did we say all in favor?
Yes, we did.
Aye, okay, thank you. Then all in
I just want to
favor?
be sure I
of
was voting
leaving
on the right
BT.
motion.
So I'm going to end
Thank you.
this.
Okay,